So what if I told you an interview isn't really a test of your skills, but a game of communication that you can actually learn to win? You know, most people just walk in hoping they get asked the right questions. But the top candidates, they walk in ready to steer the whole conversation. In this explainer, we are going to break down the exact blueprint to turn any interview into a story that you control.
Okay, let's get right into it because this is huge. You'd think the person with the fanciest resume automatically gets the job, right? Well, the data shows something completely different. Your technical skills, your CV, that gets your foot in the door. That's about 30% of it. But the other 70%, a whopping 70%, it's all about communication. How well you talk about your skills is often way more important than the skills themselves.
Now this number is the real game changer. 80%. That is how much of any given interview is actually predictable. You can pretty much guess the questions and the topics that are going to come up. And if you can predict it, you can control it. This isn't about being lucky. It's about being strategic.
All right, so here's our roadmap. First, we'll dive into that 80% control zone. Then we'll tackle the core questions you are absolutely guaranteed to face. We'll show you the common traps to sidestep, unlock a few communication superpowers, give you a smart guide for using AI, and then wrap it all up with a final polish to make sure you're good to go.
So, let's start with Section 1, the 80% control zone. This whole idea starts with changing how you think about luck. Because it turns out the candidates who get the job aren't just lucky, they were just incredibly prepared when the opportunity showed up.
And I love this quote because it just hits the nail on the head. Luck is just preparation meeting opportunity. The people who seem to have all the luck, they're just the ones who did the homework. They didn't just show up and hope for the best. They prepared to win.
Okay, so if it's all about preparation, where do you even start? That brings us to Section 2, mastering the core questions. This right here is the heart of that 80% you can control. But listen, just knowing the questions isn't enough. You need a killer strategy for how you're going to answer them. Take a look at this list. Does it look familiar? It absolutely should. Every expert agrees these are the questions you are going to get, one way or another. So the real question is, why do so many people just try to wing it? It's like knowing the exam questions ahead of time and still not studying. It's a huge mistake.
So let's take that first big one. Tell me about yourself. Here's a pro tip. Do not just start listing things from your resume. Instead, try this game-changing idea. Craft an origin story. It's a short, engaging story about you that builds a connection and perfectly links your journey to this specific job. It's your first and best chance to stop being interrogated and start having a real conversation.
All right, we've covered what to do. Now for the fun part, what not to do. Section 3, interview traps to avoid. Pay attention here, because these are the common mistakes that can get you rejected on the spot.
Okay, trap number 1, and it's a big one, desperation. When you say something like, I just need a job, you immediately lose all your leverage. It tells them you don't care about this job, just a job. But look at the difference when you say, this role perfectly aligns with my goals. Instantly, you go from being needy to being a valuable partner. It's a total power shift.
Oh man, this next one. Please never, ever badmouth a former boss or company. It's just a massive red flag. It makes you look unprofessional, and the interviewer is just going to wonder, are they going to talk about us like this someday? Even if things were bad, you've got to spin it. Focus on what you learned and why you're ready for a new, better fit.
And let's talk about the weakness question. Can we all agree to retire the answer, I'm a perfectionist? Come on, interviewers have heard it a million times, and it just sounds fake. What they actually want to see is self-awareness. Naming a real weakness and showing how you're actively working on it, that shows maturity. That's impressive.
Okay, so you've got your answers ready and you know the traps to avoid. But what happens when the pressure hits and your mind just goes blank? That's what Section 4 is all about, your communication superpowers. We've talked about what to say. Now let's focus on how to say it.
We've all been there, right? The interviewer throws you a tricky question out of nowhere, your heart starts pounding, and you just, start rambling. You have no idea where the sentence is even going. So how do you sound structured and smart when you're thinking on your feet?
Well, here's an amazing mental trick for you. It's called the 3-2-1 framework. When your mind goes blank, you just grab one of these structures. You can say, well, there are really 3 key steps to that, or I see 2 main types of solutions, or the number 1 most important thing is. It instantly makes you sound organized, it buys you a few seconds to think, and it puts you right back in control.
But what if the real problem is just raw anxiety? You know, the shaky hands and the racing thoughts? Before you even walk in that room,
Try this super simple technique, box breathing. Seriously, you just breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4, breathe out for 4, and hold for 4. A couple rounds of that, and it's like a reset button for your entire nervous system.
Okay, we can't talk about modern prep without talking about the elephant in the room, AI. So Section 5, the Smart AI Prep Guide. Look, AI can be your best friend in this process, but only if you use it the right way, as your assistant, not your scriptwriter. This is the golden rule, right here. Use AI to get ideas, to help you understand the company, to brainstorm, but whatever you do, do not just copy and paste an answer it gives you. Interviewers can spot that robotic, generic language a mile away. It has no personality because it's not you. Remember, you're the expert on you. So how do you do it right? Think of it like this. Let AI build the basic skeleton of an answer. Then it's your job to put the flesh and blood on it. You have to inject a real personal story. You've got to pepper in those technical terms from the job description. Rewrite the whole thing so it sounds like something you'd actually say, and then tie it all back to your own resume. That's how you turn a robot script into your story.
We are in the home stretch now. Section 6, final polish and future-proofing. These are the last-minute things you need to do to walk in that room feeling sharp, confident, and totally prepared.
Think of this as your 24-hour countdown checklist. Quick questions for yourself. Have you checked the company's recent news? Are you ready to talk about every single line on your resume? Do you have 2 or 3 really smart questions to ask them? And maybe most importantly, do you know exactly where you're going and when you need to leave? Don't let a simple mistake trip you up at the finish line.
And I really want to linger on that point about questions for a second. When they get to the end and ask, "So, do you have any questions for us?" the only wrong answer is no. Seriously. Saying no just signals that you're not that interested. But when you ask good, thoughtful questions, it shows you're engaged, you're curious, and you're already thinking like you're part of the team.
So let's wrap this all up. At the end of the day, an interview isn't a test you have to pass. It's a performance. It's a stage for you to tell your story. You are in control of the narrative, you're in control of the energy, and you are in control of the outcome. So the only real question left is, what story are you going to tell?